What's up guys, Ethan here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back with Call of Duty League. We are officially doing our new power rankings. These are the Ethan Glenn special rankings. I have it in a order where I'm going to be ranking my best teams and the worst teams in the CDL and how I think they are doing. I will be making an update to this video each week after the week of matches go on. Then I will have a bigger video where I'll be talking about my power rankings going into each major, as well as my predictions for who I think is going to win that major based on their qualifying matches. If you enjoy these types of videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. It really does give me good idea on what you guys like to see. Make sure to also comment down below which team you think is number one in the CDL and who you think is going to win the first major that we have in Boston. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in there. All right, so here we go. We have our tier list that we are going to call our power rankings. The way I have it is I have the number one team and the number two team. Then I have my 3 and 4 team, my 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, and 11 and 12 teams. So we're going to be going through this list in order from start, the bottom, all the way up to the top, giving you who I think is the best team and the worst team in the CDL. So the first team that we're going to be putting on this list at number 12 is the Los Angeles Guerrillas. They've kind of just had a lot of dysfunction lately, and I do think that that is going to be a problem that they could potentially have, just because they're also in the whole dysfunction thing of could their whole organization be shut down any minute now? Nobody really knows. So I'm going to put them at the bottom. I think they have good individual players. I really like Assault personally, and DiamondCon. I know DiamondCon had a really good year on their Challengers Academy roster. So we're going to see what happens when he finally gets his chance back, on that main stage, top pro team spot. Last time we saw that, I think it was New York when he was last on a CDL roster as a starter. So I do think they have a decent squad. Ultimately, though, I'm going to be honest, it just kind of seems like they're just giving them a chance, kind of a friendship league type of moment. We'll see. I wouldn't mind to be proven wrong. Right now, I have them at the bottom of the league. Next at number 11, it can kind of be surprising if you think, but I have a reason for that. I'm going to put the Miami Heretics, not because I actually really think they're going to be that bad, but you really just don't know a lot about them because we have not seen some of these players play recently. Yes, they've been playing in challengers, but it's just kind of when you have a whole new shift like this and you got 5 guys and you really don't have a for sure certainty who is going to be a starter within those 5 yet. It's kind of like we're still figuring it out. Until I know exactly who are the 4 they're going to be putting down, I can't really put them in a higher spot other than probably 11 or even maybe 10. So we're going to put them in the 11th spot. Remember, this can change, and they could come out first 2, 3 matches of the online qualifiers and just be dominant, and they will definitely jump through the rankings. But right now, I'm going to start with Miami at 11, Guerrillas at 12. At number 10, we are going to have the Minnesota Rocker. I think this could be a really good potential team. Awakening and Vivid are true slayers. We're going to see what Lens has in the tank, bringing him to the CDL level, see if he can make that jump. Accuracy is going to be a good leader on the team. He's going to lead these young players, help them. He's got a lot of experience. The Iceman, he can clutch up when it matters. But I'm still not convinced that he can keep up with the slang of today's game. I think he's kind of falling behind. There's going to be this huge whole ordeal. With Awakening, can he still perform on land compared to online? With the sound EQ, we're going to see how that plays out this year. I really, really do like Vivid, and he's played good on different teams, even dating back to his time on the LA Guerrillas in 2019 season, as well as Dallas Empire stepping in during the Cold War season. So I think he's currently at this time their best player right now, even though Awakening has, some would say, a higher ceiling. We don't know because of that sound EQ drama. We don't know really how good he is when you take some of that stuff out. Because on land, Boston and Florida had a couple of good appearances, but Boston, they were just average. And they had a really good team, so you really didn't know who was the sole reasoner for that or not. There's just a lot of uncertainty. And right now, if you got uncertainty, like if I don't know you're about to come out and ball, I'm probably going to put you at the lower levels. And that is where we are putting Minnesota at the number 10 spot. Number 9, we're going to put the Seattle Surge. And I think you could justify swapping these two teams, putting Rocker at 9 and Seattle at 10. But for now, we're going to put them at that 9th spot. And the main thing with this is a role confusion as well. Kind of like what I was talking about with the rocker, having a lot of uncertainty. I really don't know what's up with their role spot right now. Because Abuza, if I'm correct, is a AR. Arcides has been running an AR the last few years, and Illy is an AR as well. Now, Illy has played a flex, which means he's run a sub before. Arcides has played sub and flex before. We remember that on the Huntsman days. That's why he wanted to go to phase. He wanted to be the main AR. However, somebody's got to run a SMG and help Hook out. Somebody's got to be on their front lines, breaking the entrances to the hard point, cracking open a game of Surge, helping them out here. So it's either going to be a crazy mismatch and they're trying some different 3 ARs and one sub and it's not going to work, or two flexes, two guys who can rotate around, which I don't think is really going to work. That's why there's just a lot of I don't know if it's gonna work. I don't see how this can putting them at 9 until I start seeing some things, because I know there's gonna be a couple of teams I put probably in that top 5, top 6, and they're going to not impress us. They're gonna probably drop down. So every team's gonna get a chance to change, but right now I got Seattle at 9 just because of the uncertainty, and I really don't know if their roles are gonna fit with each other. At number 8, we're gonna have Vegas, and I actually think this is a pretty good Vegas squad. Attach, been playing a long time. He went through some drama with the rocker last year. I don't know if he actually fell off. I think there was just some drama. People just wanted to point fingers for not having success when they built that super team roster, they thought. And so he kind of just took some flack for that. But I see him having a good bounce back year with Vegas. I also think Nero and Stanley are going to be a really good sub duo. They both have some experience. Standy has been playing with Attach before, so that's going to be really good. Nero's just an in-your-face, fast-paced sub. He could probably help slowing down a little bit, but I think Attach plays a little bit slower, like he's started to kind of recently. I know he talked about wanting to speed up because he was playing slow because of the coaching staff. So if he can kind of mellow things out and let Nero go crazy, it could potentially be a good combination, as well as Purge. I think he's just going to be one of those hits or miss. If he plays well with this roster, I could see this 7 and 8 team easily being a 5 or 6 team, depending on how they perform. A lot of these things are going to be decided after those first few weeks of matches. But right now, I got them at the 8th spot just because I got to see a little bit more. At number 7, we're going to have the Carolina Royal Ravens. Now, I know this is also a new roster, but I like this roster. I really do like this roster. I think we're going to be seeing Clayster at that AR role. We're going to see GodRx on the flex. Gwen and Riel, I'm really excited to see them at the subs. Two of them, all three of them had success in challengers last year. Two of them, if I'm correct, I know GodRx was. I think Gwen was on that championship roster as well. Championship rosters are something to know. Like, there's something to pay attention to. You go through the season, you get qualified for champs, you go to champs on land, and you win. I don't care if it's challengers or the CDL champs. Winning on land is huge. And so I think it's a big deal. And I'm glad that those two players, pretty much everybody on their team got their chance except for Yeez, which I think a little iffy there, but we'll talk about that on a different video. But I really think this has a good chance. I think these are still young players who have a lot of potential. GodRx has played in the CDL before. Riel has played in the CDL before as well. And we know what Clayster can bring to the table. I think he's going to lead this team very well. All these players, except for Clayster, hasn't fully reached their prime yet, I think. And they still have the potential. That doesn't mean they're going to do it, though. So I have them at that 7th spot. If they can keep up with the modern day slang, then this could be a very competitive team. But for now, I'm going to have them at that 7th spot, and we're going to see what happens from there. At number 6, I'm going to have the LA Thieves. I think this could be a really good team, or this team could easily be in my 9 to 10, 11 to 12 range within 2 matches. We'll just have to see. I like the idea of having Ghosty brought in because of the surgence he had in Optic. And even though there were some teammate issues they had on Optic behind the scenes, his play was not the issue. He was playing very well, very selflessly, good in-game leader. And I think it's without a shadow of a doubt that the Thieves brought him in for that. Joe Deceives is my biggest question mark just because the Gorillas struggled a lot last year. And so they had to see something that made them think of all the sub players that are still available. there's a lot of free agents available that you're kind of scratching your head don't have a team. So for them to pick him up and not others, they saw something they liked. I'm kind of excited to see what they like. I'm trusting J-Cap and Shane to see what they put together. Afro and Cammy, I think they wanted to try to make it work. Things with Rocker weren't working out. So I'm kind of glad to see them try to run it back and see if they can make it happen on a whole different team with their duo. It's really going to determine if Cammy can bring back that Cold War form. And it's really more so the end of the season, Cammy. When he had that champs run, it was insane. So that's going to be the biggest deal here. But I think he brings it back. I think maybe he doesn't bring it back to this full form that he had, but I think he's going to do his job well. I think the Thieves had a plan. They thought about this roster for a long time before they announced, and I think this is going to be a roster they're excited about, and we'll just have to see how it goes. But right now, I have them at my number 6 in my power rankings. Number 5, we have Boston. I think this is personally, I like Methods when he was playing. I like Awakening. I like Nero. I think this is the best roster that Boston has had since they've been an organization. They kind of got a little scrambly last year whenever Champs was coming around. They were starting benching different people. But I think this is a team that they can have a pretty good future with. You've got your veteran leader who came off a really good season, Slasher. Anyone thinks Slasher was the reason FaZe did not win Champs last year? You are wrong. There's just a lot of other different things, and there were just really good teams, including that they got beat by the New York Subliners, who are the team that won Champs. So I think Slasher is still a good leader. I think he can still play at a very high level, not just a good enough level. I would not put Slasher and accuracy in the same category at all. Let's end that debate. Priesta is a world champion recently. He has also made it to 2 grand finals in the world championship before. This guy can play. He knows how to step up on the big moments. Even when he falls, he can rebound, and that is huge for a team. Capsule, I'm very glad he got another chance to be back, even at Boston, the place where it all started for him in the CDL. And that's huge. And Snoopy came in, I think he was started right before Champs. They brought him up right before Champs, and he had a good performance. He was not the reason that they lost at Champs, and he actually had a pretty impressive performance. So I'm glad they stuck with him, are going to try to build around him, and they gave him good veteran pieces as well as another Slayer, high-level Slayer, such as Capsule on the sub. So I think this could be a pretty dangerous team. We're going to have to see. Their first major being the home major could be something that could help them out if they build some momentum in these first few weeks of qualifying matches. All right, so for our number 4 spot, this one's going to kind of be a crazy one. I'm probably about to shock some people, but I'm going to have the New York Subliners. And I know you can't really see it down there, just focus on the logo more so than the words. I think there's a world where them dropping Priesta or Sib, because to my belief of the information that was given, the stories that were kind of shared and leaked, they dropped Priesta to get Sib. I do not believe this was a we're moving off Priesta, who can we find kind of moment. I think this was because that's kind of what happened on FaZe with Arcides. FaZe did not drop Arcides to get Slasher specifically. They dropped Arcides and then began to look around. I believe New York dropped Priesta to get Sib. That is who they wanted. And we'll see how it goes. If you can put the skill side by side, raw, natural gun skill, I think Sib is better than Priesta. But there's so many different areas that Priesta brought to the team. Like I was mentioning, he's played in a lot of grand finals. He has won champs with them, so the chemistry is already there. He's been on some really good Call of Duty teams. The 2019 Black Ops 4 LA Thieves, and then the 2020 Call of Duty champs finals. He was with FaZe, and they lost to Dallas. But he's been on some really good teams. I really do think that this is something to think about making a change. I don't know if it's going to be the easiest transition. Now, could New York come out, go undefeated in the first online qualifier stage, and then go into the major, one of the top seeds? Yes. Could they easily do that? Yes. That's why they're a top 4 team. But I do think compared to these other 3 teams, I think that they're just on the bottom because you just don't know. It's one of those things. There's already been question marks with Sib of kind of teammate when he tries, when he doesn't. Can he handle big moments? I think he can, but we've just got to see. And besides, I think these other teams, even without explanation, are better than this current New York roster. I think New York just got hot at the right time last year. At number 3, we have the Toronto Ultra. I'm going to put them above. I think you could argue that this team is number 2. You know, they made it to grand finals last year in the Modern Warfare 2 season. I know Hixie did a good job stepping into this team, helping them win a major, getting them to the grand finals of champs. But nobody on earth is going to argue that Envoy and Hixie side by side are equals. Let's just be honest. Envoy is a world champion. He's played on a lot of good rosters. He's played on a lot of good teams with a lot of pressure. I think if you can leave Optic and have success, that shows what kind of player you are because of that pressure that the Optic fans put on you. It's insane. And for him to be able to leave, and even on Optic, when they were struggling with the Optic Chicago, it was not Envoy's fault. He's the one that we're seeing in those leak comms and the stories and the rumors. Like, hey, we got to focus up. We got to lock in. Dashy was having some issues. Formal was mentally checked out, which checks out Scump. And so I wouldn't blame those woes on Envoy. So it shows what kind of player he was there. Goes to the Thieves, wins. And he has a pretty good year with the LA Thieves. They win another event in the Modern Warfare 2 season. So we know what kind of player he is. And everyone else on this roster really did make it to champs last year. So it's kind of like that reason I have them over New York is when New York made that roster change, it kind of leaves you scratching your head. Why? Why did they do that? Toronto makes that roster change, and you're like, without a doubt, they're better. They are better than they were before. So that's the reason I have them above New York, and I have Toronto at number 3 in my power rankings. At number 2, which when I announced the number 2, it gives away who's number 1. And this one was truly a coin flip. I could make this video again tomorrow, read one single tweet, and probably have a different opinion. But right now at number 2, we're going to have Optic Texas. And the main reason for that is they made 2 changes rather than just one. So I think them bringing in Pred was a big deal. We knew it was going to happen. This has been in stone for a long time now. And we know what kind of player he is. The only thing that I question is like who's going to be the leader of the team. Because at the time we didn't know who's the fourth was going to be. You got Dashy, you got Shotzi, and you got Pred. All 3 of those players are guys who can individually outslay anyone in this league. So together you think it's going to work, but how are they going to make smart plays, smart rotations, stay calm in big moments, not try to let their subconscious ego of I'm challenging take over and cost them big matches. So as we saw Shotzi happen in Fortress last year, that idea of I'm the best, I'm challenging, it can get you if you don't have a guy being clear in your head like, hey, yo, chill out, especially someone you respect. So why not bring in world champion Kenny? I think that's a great pickup. And he has had a really good year. Last 2 years, he's actually had a really good year. World champion. He's not afraid to speak up. He's going to give good, clear comms. He likes structure and practice and a good level of preparation because that's what he's used to. So bringing that to Optic, I think is huge. I think Karma being the coach is going to work out. I think it's just when you throw him in the last, 2 events, you got to give him time. You got to give him time to have an off season to plan and prep. And so I really think that they are going to take a step and be that number 2 because if you base these power rankings on how they ended last year only, then I'm putting Optic in that 5 or 6 category. But with the drama of Rambo leaving and Dashy going against them, Scump retiring, all of that, that contributes to them not having the year that they wanted to have. But this year, I think they're locked in. I see potentially, even if they start struggling, I see no roster changes being made by Optic. I think they're going to stick it out to the end of the year and then decide if they need to make a change from there. But I even see them potentially not winning champs and still thinking this is a team they can run back for another year. That's how good I think this team is going to be. So I have Optic at the number 2 spot for my power rankings. And number 1, I have the Atlanta FaZe. I know that's going to sound cliche because you're always throwing them up there, but that trio of Simp, Abizi, and Celium is literally the best trio in the league. Hands down, no question, move on. Even though there's Insight, Kleenex, and Scrappy, Kismet, Hydra, and Skies, teams that have won, this is the best trio. They have the longest bit of chemistry together. They are insanely good. They can each take turns being the best player in the game when they are playing you. Abizi took his turn. He was the best player on their team last year. Year before it was Selim. Year before it was Simp. Arguably Abizi. They have that ability. And I think Sim's going to step up a little bit in leadership, which I think he is capable to do. We see in interviews and videos, he's got that analytical mind. So being able to process that, Crowder's going to be there helping him, one of the best coaches in CDL or really Call of Duty history. They've got their squad coming back. I think it's going to be a really good team on top of bringing in Draza. Draza, because we know how dominant FaZe was in Search and Destroy last year with Slasher. I think with Draza, they keep it there. I think they keep it at that level. One thing I think Draza will bring to this team that maybe wasn't fully there last year is like that passion, that fire. Draza hits a 5-piece, a 4-piece, combo and a hard point. He's going to get the team fired up. If he helps close out a clutch moment in control, he's getting that team fired up. Or if he has an ace or 1v3 clutch in Search and Destroy, and his energy is going to raise up the energy of everyone else. That's kind of how I felt with FaZe last year was the way Slasher is. They're so business, professional level. They could have a 1v3 ace and they get a little excited, but it's kind of like, all right, that's how we do things. I think they needed a little bit more energy, a little bit more fire within them. And I think Draza is going to bring that. And I'm very excited. All that beef of, BZ draw about Draza, Simp versus Draza against the snaking stuff. I think you're going to squash that because at the end of the day, you understand how talented your teammates are. And Draza knew that when he was coming into FaZe. I mean, look at Slasher. Slasher was one of the biggest critiques of snaking. He didn't mind when Stellium was snaking last year in Modern Warfare 2. Why? Because at the end of the day, it's there, whether you like it or not, and he's good at doing it. So I'm definitely thinking FaZe is the top team right now. Very excited to see them. I think they're the first match of the year. I think it's against Boston. So that's going to be a very interesting rematch. All right, guys. So this is our rankings. Gorillas at 12, Miami Heretics at 11, Rocker at 10, Seattle Surge at 9, Vegas at 8, Royal Ravens, Carolina Royal Ravens at 7, LA Thieves at 6, Boston at 5, New York at 4, Toronto at 3, Optic 2, and FaZe 1. If you agree with this power ranking, make sure to let me know in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel and like the video so I know to continue making some CDL content. Remember, we're going to be updating this after each week of qualifying matches, and then I will have a bigger one where I drop my predictions for each major. I'm super excited. Catch me at some of the majors this year. I'm for sure hitting up Major 2, not Major 3, Major 4, and then wherever Champs is, I'm going to try to be there too. So I hope to see you guys there. I'm very excited. Make sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.